Hello and welcome back to the Cricket Nerds. It's me and James today. I'm back after a long time and we are talking about England and India, the first test, day one reaction. And what a day it has been. James, how are you feeling?
I'm tired. I'm absolutely knackered. It's an early wake up if you are an England fan. I was up in the early hours of the morning watching England, and to be honest, it started off all right for England. It started better than I kind of expected. There
Yeah,
was um there was a 50 partnership with our openers, which in fairness, we predicted that more, or we would expect that more for this Bazball thing, where if if England are going to get on top of anybody, it's going to be the seamers.
mm,
Um, and there was quite a bit of spin on day one as well. So especially for the Indian bowlers, and we'll get onto that in a bit. But as far as the way that England started, Siraj and Bumrah bowled really well. Like they beat the edge a lot, but anything that could get put away was put away, and it meant that England got off to a little bit of a flyer. Unbroken 50 partnership, and then Ben Duckett was out to Ashwin for one that didn't turn. And it was as soon as the spinners came on, instantly the run rate slowed down, and you could kind of tell that pressure would start to build a little bit.
yeah,
I think it was only the ninth over that Rohit turned to spin, and straight away it was moving quite a lot. It was going against the natural angle of the arm, and Jadeja and Ashwin are just so wily that
yeah.
I knew, I had a feeling it wouldn't be long um, until wickets started coming down in clusters, and I was proved right. Um, what do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about the openers? Do you want to talk about Ollie Pope?
There's a
What?
lot to speak about. There's a
Yeah.
lot to speak about. I think, I mean, what England had really was a little mini collapse before lunch and then a little mini collapse after lunch. Um, and to be fair, it has just been a good day of Test match cricket.
Hmm.
I do want to talk about the start of the India innings, but let's focus on what happened with England first. I've got more to say about the India innings because
Yeah.
when I ended up eventually woke up and tuned in, um, England were about 135 for five, I think it was. So I'd missed this rocketing start that Crawley and Duckett had got off to, and I tuned in just to see like classic England being five down after lunch, or just before tea. And looking back at the replays and the highlights, yeah, it did look like Joe Root and Johnny Bairstow did put a bit of a fight back after lunch, didn't they? And then it was just again um, a bit of magic. I mean, the ball that Axar Patel used to get rid of Johnny Bairstow. I mean, good luck playing that anyone in the world at any point. And
It
then
was it
Joe
was an
Root,
absolute jaffer, and
yeah,
I I think as far as day one pitches go, I think this was actually an all right one,
yeah,
because it was spinning a lot, but it was it was no more potent than like a Trent Bridge day one pitch for the seamers.
yeah.
It didn't look cracked. It didn't look like an absolute dust bowl. It looked relatively solid, and we'll have to see how it goes throughout the test match. But it looked like a pretty decent pitch, and
And
if you got in, it there were some runs to be
yeah,
had there, weren't there?
which India proved in the second innings, which we'll come on to. Yeah, I think as you say, Crawley and Duka got off to a great start, taking on the seamers. I think both Bumrah and Siraj went for some runs. And I think that's something to pick up on as well. Well, Bumrah was a bit more controlled than Siraj. And as you say, it was the spinners that really came on and made that difference. Ollie Pope, I don't think ever looked settled in his very short stay at
He
the
looked
crease.
absolutely terrible. To say we've only got 11 balls of data for this tour,
Yeah.
I am really not optimistic. And I think already there are big calls on social media from England fans to say that Keaton Jennings should come in at number 3, which he's only faced 11 balls, but I can't say that I completely disagree.
I think it's a little bit harsh in my view, because I do know that Pope is a good player. He's a good player. He is a decent player of spin as well. Like we saw him the last time we've seen him in the subcontinent was the back end of 2022 in the Pakistan tour, and then unfortunately he was been pretty much injured ever since then. I think he got injured in the Ashes, didn't he? And yeah, I mean, he looked all right in Pakistan. I think he ended up hitting something like 450s or
It,
something like
I
that in the
I
Pakistan
almost
tour.
don't feel like I can judge any performances on that Pakistan tour because it was so flat and it's so different. And
It
that's
is
the thing,
true.
like, you know, we'll probably do this, you know, after this first test, we'll talk about England's preparation, the fact they went to the UAE, whether it even compares in terms of pitch styles. But Pakistan is roads and India, it turns quite a lot, not as much as
Yeah.
Sri Lanka.
And also the quality of the spin attack, Ashwin, Jadeja, Akshar, it was completely above what Pakistan were facing. But Ollie Pope, he is a good player of spin, I think, but he didn't look settled. And I think that's the point that we're looking at. I don't know whether it's his preparation ahead of this tour. I don't know whether it's because he's been out of the game for quite a long time because yeah, he only played a couple of the games in the Ashes last year and then had to pull out. And I think that was when Moeen came up in number 3, I think it was. So it has been a bit of a hard one for Ollie Pope. I think he just needs, yeah, I mean, Jadeja just was looking really good and managed to outfox him. It will be interesting to see how he performs in the second innings and if he gets another couple of games in this series. It's a 5-match series, so it's a long time.
It, yeah,
You know, there's a lot of games we'll see a lot of changes, but the senior pros in Joe Root and Johnny Bairstow then came in, managed to steady the ship. What did you think of that partnership?
I thought it was strong. They looked pretty steady. It took special bowling from Axar Patel to get rid of Johnny Bairstow, one that pitched on leg and hit top of off. It was an absolute peach. If you are a left arm spinner, watch that and
Yeah,
learn. You know, that
yeah,
is the ideal delivery. And then Joe Root top edge to sweep that bounced a little bit more. So you know, he was playing his shots, and it was a bit annoying because you know what Root can do, but
yeah,
it was one of those. And then Ben Stokes came in and played really well. I thought he paced his innings so well, and he does this every time. He'll soak up a lot of pressure to start with, and then he will accelerate, and he will accelerate pretty fast.
yeah.
And he'll put away a lot of the balls, and he'll put bowlers under pressure.
Mm.
Um, I'm really interested by sort of the comparison between the India bowlers and the England bowlers
Yeah,
because it's the same day, it's the same pitch, and India, at least it seemed to me, extracted so much more spin. They looked so much more potent on those
yeah,
pitches, and you know, obviously it was a turning track anyway, but straight away you could see the difference. I think it was one of the first balls that Ashwin bowled to Ben Duckett, absolutely jagged away. And it was straight away, I was like, wow, okay, this might be a really spicy pitch. And then Jack Leach, Tom Hartley, they start bowling. And I'm instantly like, oh, maybe it's not actually as potent as we thought. And that's a testament to the quality of those Indian spinners.
yeah.
Like the
That's what I
amount
was going
of
to say.
extra turn that they got was was really quite impressive. And I mean,
Yeah,
you know, I'm almost having issues trying to think of what I'm going to put, who I'm going to put on the thumbnail. It's probably going to be Jaiswal, but you know, I could equally stick Jadeja and
yeah,
Ashwin
yeah.
on there because they are so good.
I think what I really picked up was that, especially in that period after Bairstow and Root had gone, and it was Stokes and Folkes in that little partnership. I think Axar Patel, particularly, and Ashwin just put so much pressure on the two batters. I mean, Axar Patel looked like he was going to get out Ben Folkes every single ball that he bowled to him, and it was just a matter of time. And I think, yeah, it is just a comparison between that standard of spinners of Akshar and Ashwin, particularly when we compare that to Tom Hartley and Jack Leach. Jack Leach is a great spinner, but he's never been a massive turner of the ball. He turns it a bit, but he's never been a massive turner. The same with Tom Hartley all the way through his career. He's never been a massive turner of the ball, but he's sort of just loops it up there. It skids on every now and again, and that's how he's been successful in taking his wickets. So I think that's been the main difference, because the Indian spinners are there trying to rag it as much as they can, whereas Tom Hartley, I mean, he was bowling some pretty good deliveries to Jaiswal, but because he isn't as much of a good spinner or as much of a big spinner of turner of the ball, Jaiswal was able to just play that aggressive stroke play against him. Before we move on to the India innings, unless you've got any more things to say, I just want to also just mention the quality of the lower order, comparing that from England to India. Like if you look at Rahan, Tom Hartley, Mark Wood, if you compare that to the 8, 9, 10 of, the 8 and 9, sorry, of Akshar and Ashwin, compare that to the 8 and 9 of Rahan Ahmed and Tom Hartley. I think England for once are actually not batting particularly deep in a test match. Like you've got part-timers here, whereas actually both Akshar and Ravi Ashwin, they've got test centuries. You can consider them genuine all-rounders. So actually, yeah, India have got these 3 genuine all-rounders here with Jadeja, Akshar and Ashwin, whereas with England, it's ends at Ben Folkes and then you're really into bowlers.
Yeah, I mean, I agree to an extent. I think Tom Hartley, he averages 29 at first class level. Rahan Ahmed is around that as well. They've both shown signs, and I thought Hartley's innings was actually pretty decent. It's not a difficult, it's not an easy track to bat on. A lot of those England batters showed that. So, the fact that he made a 23 relatively quickly, that's exactly what you're after from a number 9. If Ashwin makes 23, I feel like that's job done for him as well.
Yeah.
Rahan Ahmed, I would have preferred to see a little bit more application from him. But the ball that got him out was a really good delivery from Bumrah. It was an off cutter that almost went like an off break.
Yeah.
Bumrah got about as much turn as Hartley today.
Yeah.
And it was something really quite impressive that it jagged so much and took the inside edge of Rahan Ahmed.
I do think Rahan didn't need to be playing that far away from his body, though. I think that sort of
the hands were far away, but
there were.
To be honest, that's where the line of the ball was. So
sorry, I just want to fact check myself very quickly before I get called out in the comments. Okay. Akshar Patel hasn't got a test century. High score of 84. He does in fact have a first class century. So that's the point I was making. Look at the averages. He averages 36 in tests. Ashwin averages 26 in tests, but he has got five test hundreds. Compare that to the average of where we are with Rahan and Tom Hartley.
Yeah,
that's
I definitely see the point.
Okay, so India, they bowled really well. I mean, with the exception of Siraj, they're all fantastic. England. What do you think about England's bowling attempt? Because I didn't think they bowled too badly. They were bowling in some good areas, but Jaiswal is just absolutely dismantling that England attack.
He was more Bazball than Bazball, wasn't he? And
yeah,
I think that is England should almost take it with a bit of a wry smile in that, I don't think it's unfair to say that they have changed the way that Test cricket can be played to a greater or lesser extent. It wasn't commonplace that, openers would try to go out and just absolutely lamp anything that's there to be hit. It was, I don't know, it was less common, definitely way less common. And now it's more accepted as an acceptable way to do it.
Yeah.
And that's what Jaiswal just did. He stuck to his natural game, which was to be aggressive, to put away anything that he could. And my word, did it pay off. He was
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant. It was the first ball of Tom Hartley's Test career that he just slog swept for six,
yeah.
and he didn't slow down from there, did he?
I mean, well, he took Mark Wood for a four in his first ball. You know,
Yeah.
like he bowling at nearly 90 miles an hour, and he just clips it off his pads over square leg for four, and then it came out and hit two sixes
Mm.
in that first Tom Hartley over. He
I
just,
would have preferred to see Mark Wood come round the wicket to open.
mm, yeah,
Personally, I thought that Jaiswal, from what I've seen in the IPL, and obviously I know it doesn't translate too much, but even from his short Test career as well, he's so good off the pads that I don't know. I thought that Mark Wood hanging it sort of fourth stump would have been a little bit better from outside
yeah,
off,
yeah,
potentially angling in because you saw how much the pitch might deviate. I don't know. That was my thought, but
yeah,
I'm
potentially.
not as good a bowler as Mark Wood, so
Yeah,
what do I know?
agree. I mean, for me, it was more the decision for Tom Hartley to open the bowling. Like I think he's a good bowler, and I've seen him open the bowling in T20 cricket. I don't think he's ever opened in first class cricket. Again, I will check myself on that stat.
I think that's right.
But like I would have expected more, especially with the left-hander in there as well, to bring in maybe Rahan, who can turn the ball both ways, Joe Root with the off spinner, or potentially even go with Jack Leach as the senior spinning pro. Um, I think it's a real shame for England that they've gone with the three, that they've had to go with three out and out spinners, and it's forced them to leave a seamer out with the fact that Ben Stokes can't bowl. Like if Ben Stokes could bowl, it would make this whole team far more balanced because it could have been him and Mark Wood opening the bowling there, at least put a little bit of pressure on, or at least I think England really missed Anderson today. An
Mm.
Anderson or a Robinson, someone who can come in and be controlled for 4 or 5 overs, keep that scoring rate low, and apply that pressure. Because I think with the intent that Jaiswal came out and bowled and batted with, he put the pressure on England from ball one, and he put the pressure on Tom Hartley from his first ball as well. And I think that just really, I think, damaged the confidence almost, and put England on the back foot straight away. As you say, they're playing more Bazball than England. Like Jazzball, maybe we should call that now Bazball versus Jazzball, because Yashavi Jaiswal was phenomenal today. I think Rohit tried to do the same thing and put that pressure on, but I think Leach bowled a good ball to get rid of him. I think for England, it's going to be really key though to dismiss Jaiswal early on day two, because he could go on to score 200 plus here, I think.
Well, I think India are in such a strong position now. They're only one wicket down. They've got 120 on the board. If everybody else does what Rohit did and makes a 20 odd, then instantly they've got a lead and they are
Yeah.
well in well in with a chance of forcing England to bat with a deficit, like a considerable one, and really apply the pressure and turn the screw. So India are absolutely on top. I think most of the people watching this are India fans, so congratulations. Uh, definitely on top. Really interested to know what everybody thinks of Jaiswal's batting.
Yeah.
The way that they just went out and went for it. Do you think that's how India are going to go in this series? Do you think they're just going to say, look, we know that you guys like to put the pressure on the teams that you're playing. Let's see how you like it back. Or do you think that this is going to be a bit of an outlier, or he's just going to take down, the inexperience of Hartley and Rahan Ahmed, who's also getting some tap?
Mm.
I'm really interested to know. But
I Before we finish though, I want to just talk about one more thing,
go on.
and I want your view on this, and I want the viewers' view on this. What were England doing with their reviews? They
Yeah,
threw away all their reviews within 14 overs. Like, what's going on here?
I'm going to say that it was bad from the slips cordon. I think Joe Root was like absolutely adamant on a couple of them that
Mm.
that there was a sound, There was a glove behind off Mark Wood's bowling that they thought that Jaiswal had done. There was nothing there. There was a potential nick behind off a Rohit from Tom Hartley. There was there was a clear gap between bat and pad.
Yeah.
Sorry, bat and ball. So I think the slip cord need to get their act together. Because they were so adamant. Like if I was Ben Stokes, I would have to review those because
Yeah.
if somebody with the experience of Joe Root is saying, yeah, no, it's definitely made a sound, then you've got no choice. You've got to review that. The only one I thought that was a bit unlucky was the LBW shout, because that
Yeah. A
was
bit
going
high.
over.
Yeah.
But realistically, they were bad reviews, and I think 1 out of 3 would have been permissible, but not all 3 within the first 15 overs. That was pretty shocking.
Do you think it was because of the pressure that Jaiswal put England under that made them almost desperate and led them to do those reviews? That's why I think that was happening. But yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments below about that. We're keen to find out what you think about day one. Yeah, let us know. India seem firmly in the driver's seat. We've got a long test series ahead, all right, and the last thing I want is for it to be a 5-0 whitewash where all the tests end in 3 days, because nobody wants that. Let's at least put up a fight.
I think most of the people watching this video want that. So, and I think that's
Possibly.
honestly, it's the reality. It's the most likely outcome, but we'll see.
But is it good for the game?
We're only, yeah, it really is. Yeah, I think we're only 1 day in. This is Test cricket. There's always a twist. I'm excited personally. So let us know what you think down below. Subscribe, okay? There is going to be plenty of India versus England content on this channel. We're going to be following this whole test series. We're going to be waking up at stupid hours in the morning to watch these test matches. So stick around, tell your friends, like, subscribe, follow our social medias, and become a member. It's the absolute best way to support this channel, as you saw in the intro. So we'll see you later. Goodbye.